The best way to get that personal story is to make them just physically visible to all the other people, so that everybody knows that this exists.
So I had a question. Wasn't there actually two different real issues going on here? I mean, you have, as far as like movement and everything, you've got the basic issue, which is the camp issue, getting everything, keeping everything running, and you have, and then you have the movement issue, which what's going on throughout the country, what are we going to be, pushing for, this week, what message do we want to, get out to everybody. So basically that's two completely separate entities. One is just basic human needs, the running of the camp, and then the other is, like I said, the movement. So I just didn't understand why you couldn't have different committees and then have committees meet every day in the camp with, needs, suggestions, and everyone can just talk about it.
So the structure that exists right now for what you're talking about is the all committees meeting, which does happen every day. It's usually someone who's given by that committee to be present at the all committees meeting who volunteers that day.
Right.
And there is some coordination happening in that regard. This is basically an idea to try and bring more people from all the committees together in one space at one time to try and actually make that happen in an even more coordinated fashion. Because right now one of the problems with all committees meetings, a lot of times different committees aren't present, or there's a problem with, disseminating what was discussed at all committees meetings to the different committees and then getting on the same page with the meetings and coming back to the all committee meeting. Or the people at the all committees meeting aren't necessarily empowered, if there's a big issue that needs to be solved, to speak on behalf of their committees towards that issue. So while they're coming forward with their committee's specific issues, they aren't necessarily, say someone, like here's a good example, is say sanitation was really short-staffed and now there's garbage everywhere in camp and it's piling up and it's not getting cleaned up. At the all committees meeting, sanitation could come forward and say what we really need is for everybody in camp, or all the committees to send like one person to sanitation every day to help us take care of this load. At the all committees meeting, that problem can't get solved because the committee heads at that meeting can't speak for their committee. They can't be like, oh yeah, we'll definitely get you one person every day from medical or whatever, because they have to converse with medical first before they knew whether that was a good idea. With the spokes council model, what can happen is sanitation could say, okay, we're really short, we need help from all the committees, we need, we're asking for one person from all the committees to volunteer every day with sanitation to help us get this loaded. Now all the committees can turn around and talk to each other and say, do we have the staff for this? Can we coordinate this with our committees? And then they'll go around and they'll say, the medical will be like, yeah, we have plenty of people to give you one person every day, we can coordinate it, no problem. Safety might say, actually, we're really short-staffed as it is, and we have all these camp issues that are taking place, and we really can't, we can't give anyone up. You might go around, and then what might be decided is that we'll do it for like a week, or we'll do it, all the committees except safety will give someone, that kind of thing. So it's a way of actually bringing up a problem and addressing a problem in the same context instead of trying to have all this go-between stuff happening where information gets lost or changed between successive reiterations of the issue or whatever that is. So the different email groups, all that kind of stuff.
So you have your different committees. Now you're having problems getting all the committees at the same place at the same time.
Well, right now there's no structure for that. I mean, no one's really said, hey, this all committee meeting is a good idea. But
excuse me, folks, it's about 8:15. Hopefully, if you haven't moved from clarifying questions into concerns now, that might be a good time. We'll give it another 10-15 minutes and check back in.
So we're doing it more informal, but
I just thought if you're already having problems getting people together by making more people, you're just going to have even more problems getting even more people together.
Well,
wouldn't it work better actually empower the guy that you have as your committee head. You know, I mean, he's not, doesn't have a great deal of power, but the thing is, he should be put as head of the committee because he's a trusted person that is aware of what's going on with his committee. He's aware of the different ramifications of the decisions that he makes, and he knows what's going on, and that's why he's the head of the committee.
Do you want to speak to that, or can I speak to that, and then you want to say something else? Speak to that? For sure. Go ahead.
Excuse me, who's talking? I was asking who's talking.
My name is Metal.
Oh, Mello. Hi.
How you doing?
You got a light right over your head. I can't
Take it off. Portland has been occupied all along. Okay, for many, many, many years now. Okay, and the people themselves, the bleeding edge of the 99%, the ones who've been most brutalized by this irrationally flawed economic system of ours, spontaneously arrange themselves according to a clan structure anyway. It's the will of the people, basically. All right? And this, in fact, is how human beings have arranged themselves for perhaps hundreds of thousands of years before we ever started in with this whole I'm the sun god king guy and everybody else has to do what I say structure. You know, the oligarchical or patriarchal or whatever, right? In a crunch, this is how we automatically arrange ourselves. Hey, you know what? I say we listen to Uncle Ernie. He wrestled that grizzly bear, and remember that one winter when he made all them really good decisions about how to not starve to death? I say we listen to what he's got to say, and it's our problems to him, right? And then when we have interactions with other clans, we as people speak through him, because he most accurately and with humility yet strength represents us as well. It doesn't work on much larger scale than say 50 to 100 members. Beyond that, it's too disassociated, right? But the point being is that we have immediate pressing survival issues. We're about to get victims because we've been spending all night talking about sparkling ham and listening to every fat pot shot that everybody's got. I mean, some of them are really good ideas. Some of them are just straight people. All right? The majority rule is not working unless we're institutions. And after 8,000 years of constitution-based society, every single one of us is pretty much more or less totally cracked. I'm insane. I know that for a fact. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, except that to put my neck out the way I'm doing it if I were.
Can I ask how you feel then? Do you understand the closed council model? And are you in favor of it, or do you feel like that would be better, giving more people in camp a voice?
About 3 weeks ago, I interrupted the General Assembly to say, listen, we need to start talking about some shit like fucking now. This isn't working. We need to start talking about alternative methods of getting stuff resolved. We need to be able to take immediate action on immediate concerns. Table stuff that's not that important, not life or death. I mean, when we have life or death concerns, we need to be able to decide life and death answers to these things immediately. The best possible way that we could, as a people, do that is by taking all of our concerns to our respected elders, which most of the street clans here are already arranged in anyway, and putting those heads together. Our smartest, most humble, and yet strong, the ones we trust the most, to serve us in that capacity.
Our time's running out, so I just want to make sure there are other people that get a chance. I know she wanted to talk, and are there other people who want to talk before we close up? And then after, you be third.
Thank you.
there would be some play like to be determined by the GA and by the spokes council, but essentially, depending on the degree of representation that the spokes council had, it would be all the logistical stuff that that basically is like sort of minutia for the GA to be talking about in like the GA model. So like with all this peace and safety stuff, it's like stuff that's come up to the GA a lot of the time is, hey, the camp needs help with peace and safety. These are the issues that we have. These are what peace and safety are trying to do to address these issues. These are the problems that are ongoing. And what tends to happen is that the GA tends to be all about self-policing and having certain values about that issue. But then the GA doesn't actually have much ability to come up with specific solutions to actually begin tackling the problems that are ongoing. So the idea would be that the spokes council would be for that. So the committees could say, well, the GA says this, and this about safety, but these are the problems that are ongoing, and and we need to come up with some real solutions for addressing them pragmatically. And then they all talk about that as a group of people who are on some level dealing with it, instead of a group of people who largely aren't, who are largely hearing about it from someone from camp, but they're going home tonight, or and they're at work during the day, or that kind of thing. So that's the big thing is it wouldn't necessarily inhibit the GA from saying we feel really adamantly about this really specific procedural or logistical thing, but it wouldn't be taking that power entirely away from the GA. It would just be trying to create a better space for those kinds of issues.
The model would not be what you're doing in real class. If you go back, what would it not be?
The more overarching values for the movement. So it's like endorsing marches or something like that wouldn't necessarily be the spokes council thing. That might be a GA thing, and we'd be like, yeah, we like that march, and then the spokes council might talk about how to implement it or something. But and you, and then you.
Folks could think about wrapping up their conversations. We're going to pull back together in 5 minutes, okay?
So you, and then are there any other bits of input that people would like to get?
Has there been any decisions on when it would happen during the day, morning after?
It sounds like it will be, as it's proposed, it will replace the Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday GA. So at 7 p.m.
I'd like to, Chris, I'd like to advocate that it would happen in the morning. If it is going to be about issues inside the camp, for any working group, the best time to have a meeting about what you're going to do is in the morning, so that there's actually daylight to get done, so that you don't sleep on it and come back.
That would probably be something to be discussed at the first meeting of the spokes council, because then everyone in the committee can say when's the best time for us to meet. So if the time that is in this proposal doesn't work well, that would totally be the prerogative of the spokes council to decide. Does that?
Okay, so I was there for 2 weeks, so I haven't really had a chance to see how your GAs work except for tonight. So comparing it to Seattle, there's a lot of process problems, and I feel that instead of creating a new model, the spokes model, instead of creating this and just leaving the GA to fail even more, the GA could be improved a lot, right? And I mean, I'm not going to get into specifics because we don't have much time, but I could share, me and my friends from Seattle could share that page, and we could talk about facilitation and try to work on that within the GA. An inherent problem with the spokes model is that, I've heard there's 66 working groups, committees, caucuses total, right? But only, 20 of them are represented in the spokes model. You're leaving out a lot of people. And then the people who aren't in any working group don't have any voice or don't have their vote at all. So how is that democratic?
Well, it's not. I mean, no one's trying to usurp the GA's position. What we're trying to do is create essentially multiple spaces for important democratic conversations. It's not
democratic. It's not all groups are represented.
But not all groups are represented at the GA either. That's part of the reason we're bringing this spokes model forward.
But are they combined funding works too to make
Well, I mean,
those models?
And just open caucus and stuff like that.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know if you heard that. Yeah, our spokes council model creates an open caucus for people who just want to show up to the spokes council. And I mean, there are a lot of questions like that still exist about where the overlap of the spokes council and the GA will be and how that's going to work. But I mean, the spirit of this proposal is to create a coexisting body, not a competing body of consensus. The idea is to create a space for more people to talk and try to work issues out, and have that place coexist with the General Assembly, which currently represents a different body of people. So right now, the General Assembly, we'll do a survey at the beginning when we facilitate the GA about who's here from camp, who's here from a committee, who's here from, who's this their first GA, et cetera, et cetera. And usually the percentage of people that raise their hand in camp is really small. And then the percentage of people that are here from committees is really small. And so the spokes council is a response to ongoing complaints about those underrepresented groups at the General Assembly, and trying to create a space for those people to come together and actually and seriously decide whether or not they can even implement some of the things that the GA has tried to impose on them.
Do you not communicate what they think they're doing?
Well, I mean, we've done a lot of outreach and asked them whether or not they support this model. Like the guy that was just down here, Mr. Glitter, he's talking a lot with the different street families and stuff that are there who resent the GA process, who feel disenfranchised by the GA process, who have essentially been boycotting the GA process for weeks, who are for the spokes council because the spokes council gives them a means for having a voice without having to be individually responsible for that voice. So their caucus could have a group of people who felt comfortable acting as a spoke, and then everyone in that caucus still gets to talk and participate in that discussion without having to know the ins and outs of the GA process in order to participate. So I mean, this is a response.
How's conversations going? What I'd like folks to do, we're gonna come back into the big room.